Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nietzsche.
And this is episode 23, The Cold Never Bothered Me Anyway. We're talking about Frozen, the 2013 movie. If you've never seen this movie, I don't know where you've been. I have just recently come out from under the rock, and I don't remember there being a lot of us under there.
Mm-hmm. Your spoiler warning is right here. You've probably seen it. You've heard all of the songs before you saw this movie anyway. But this is your spoiler warning. The cold always bothers me. Let me tell you what.
It doesn't bother me, though. What a relatable line.
For you, maybe. But I feel like the cold does get to you at some point.
The worst part of the cold is when you get up in the morning. And I get up at about 4:30 in the morning. And I get up, I go out to the car, and like your windshield's frozen. That sucks. You're like, great, now I gotta get the ice scraper out and run that over the windshield. And then that does start to get a little cold. That's the only time it really bothers me. But in general, we're good. Me and the cold.
Lies.
There's no lie, Nietzsche. Not today.
You tell me you're not gonna lie frequently, and all I hear is lies.
Nietzsche, if you knew the truth of how many lies I've told you, man, you'd kill me.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, into good old Frozen. Did you love this film? Best Disney film of your life? Start singing these songs everywhere you go.
I don't think this is the best Disney film of my life. However, I do think it's pretty good. To be clear, this is the first time I've seen this movie. I avoided it for a long time. Really, there's two songs that everyone knows from this in particular. Let It Go and Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Everyone's heard those lyrics. We all know those. But the rest of the songs, I did not know them. Didn't know them at all. And there's actually quite a few songs in this movie. It's a little front-loaded, but I was actually a little surprised at how many there were. At the beginning, I'm like, is this just a full-blown musical all the way through? Is everything going to be a song? I don't hate that, but I wasn't really expecting it.
What did you know about this film besides the songs before we went into it?
There was a snowman.
Uh-huh.
There was a reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
There was a ice castle.
That's it.
And then Elsa could do cool ice power stuff. And she had a sister.
You knew less than the bare minimum, I feel like. This is the second time I've seen this film. And I did not remember exactly how most of this went.
Really?
No. Like, I knew the major plot points that we were going to hit, but I really did not remember how we got to most of them.
Are you saying it's forgettable?
It's a decent Disney film that isn't really worth remembering. Like, it's not good enough for me to be like, oh, man, we're talking about good Disney films? Yeah, Frozen's pretty grand and wonderful. It's not Alice in Wonderland, Jungle Book, Mulan. It's not that good.
I will say that post Hunchback and Mulan, this might be the best Disney film that I've seen. Now, there's a fair bit I haven't seen, so we'll get to those. We'll see if this holds up. But I like this a lot more than I thought I would.
That's good. I kind of thought you might hate on it, but then I was like, nah, this is a decently well-made film. You're not gonna hate on it real hardcore.
It's got some problems, though.
All right, let's hear one problem before we get into the story here.
I think the villains of this film are definitely forgettable. They're pretty boring. There's only really two, which is Hans, who is the better of the two, and then you got the Duke of Westerton.
Weaselton?
Yeah, Weaselton, whatever. That place. Wherever that's at. It'd be nice, like how in a fantasy book you open it up and there's like a map of the world or like a continent. We could have used that if we're going to refer to all these different places. I would have liked to have seen a map.
Maybe in Frozen 2 it exists.
It's possible. Neither of us has seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen Frozen 2.
So I don't know what happens there. But the Duke character in particular, he sucked. He was lame. I didn't really like the humor surrounding him. It didn't work for me. I feel like he was the worst part of this movie.
The worst part of this movie?
Yeah.
I don't know about the worst part of the movie. He's not there enough for me to really remember or hate on him. Like, he is pretty forgettable. Like, we got to this guy and I was like, I don't remember this guy at all.
He started talking when you're kind of doing a pan through of the town. And I'm like, this guy, he's a villain. And I can already tell he's gonna suck. And then he followed through. And it was exactly that.
Good on you, I guess. He's kind of forgettable to me. I don't know.
What do you think about Hans as a villain?
I think that the twist on that is good. Him as a character is, you're a bad guy, great.
So the first time you saw this, you didn't see it coming?
No, I didn't see that coming.
Interesting.
Did you? You get that?
Yeah, I figured he was bad.
At what point?
They put too much of an emphasis on Kristoff at the beginning of the film. And so as soon as she started going on a journey with Kristoff, and then they kind of had their playful stuff, I was like, yeah, okay, that other guy sucks. I get it.
Wow. No, I am no love expert like you. But let's go ahead and walk through this wonderful story. The best story.
All right. Do a little jaunt.
Starts with them and his children.
Well, specifically, it starts with them. Well, we're out on an ice field.
Oh, that's fair. It does start with Kristoff getting the screen time in the weird. I don't remember that as an opening. I'm telling you, we got there and I was like, what is this? How do you sell ice? What in the world?
So this is where I was a little confused when we started. I'm like, okay, I knew there was a blonde-haired kid in the movie. I didn't know we started off as kids. And so I saw him and I'm like, okay, I guess that's that blonde-haired guy that you see in like the posters. And he's doing his little bit where he's following the Iceman and he's, not doing a great job because, he's a child. And it's kind of cute. The song they're singing there I like, actually. But it's kind of a weird opening. You're like, okay, who's this kid? Don't really know. And then you go and see the girls and what happens there. And then you see him again, which is one of the weird things I felt about the movie, is I don't really understand the purpose of having seen this past event where they, mess with Anna's memory and everything. Like, he witnesses all this. But he barely even, acknowledges it in the movie. It's never really brought up as something he knows. It's like, its whole purpose is almost like we gotta introduce him to the trolls. And I'm like, was he not related to were these Icemen out there just letting him frolic along with them? I was kind of confused about the whole relationship of everything. It was just very weird.
So, here's the deal. I'm gonna point out why he needed to know that. Is because then he sees the need to take her to the trolls when Anna gets hit in the heart with the ice thing, right? He is aware of that. Could we have cut that and he was just knowledgeable because he was raised by the trolls? Sure.
Yeah, that was my whole thing.
Wouldn't have bothered me.
Didn't seem necessary.
But I also don't feel like it doesn't connect. It connects just fine. The weird part about, the Icemen over here, they basically never acknowledge him.
Yeah.
They leave without him. I don't know if he's just some orphan kid and they're just like, well, children's stuck, leaving you to die in the frozen tundra. I don't know.
It's very weird.
But I just kind of move on. I just kind of go, okay, this is weird. This is a Disney film.
Yeah, I just feel like it's just a really weird start to the movie it's weird because it's so unexpected.
That's fair. It is weird. I don't remember it starting there. I definitely don't remember anything of them as children. But I do like the song at the beginning. It's a nice sounding song.
Yeah.
But that's about it. That's all I gotta say on that.
The song definitely made me go, all right, let's see what this film's got. I know Let It Go. Yeah, I understand, but let's see what else this film has to offer. And it's a good start.
Anna, sadly, gets hit in the head with ice stuff. I'm not really sure how that works, but it's fine.
Yeah, they're playing. You see that they're close as kids. And they're sneaking out, playing in the created ice and snowstorm in the middle of the, ballroom. Probably not the best call, but they're kids. You make mistakes. And you learn a lot, all right, Anna's a very cheerful and very energetic kid, which carries out through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of learn a bit about them as characters through that interaction, which I think is pretty good. So I think it's a nice little scene. But the whole hit in the head moment, I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. I guess it is a big deal. I thought she was just knocked out. Oh, it'll be alright in a few hours. We'll wake up. Things will be okay. Learn to be, more safe. But no, this is a whole ordeal. You gotta go to the trolls. And they gotta erase memories. I'm like, this is weird. And then the troll makes a little comment of is the power a curse or is she born with it? Which I thought was kind of funny. But they're like, oh, she's born with it. And I'm like, okay, are people born with magical powers in this world? Is she special?
She's definitely special. I agree that is a weak point in this film, is where are the ice powers from? Like, why are they controlled by emotions, kind of? I'm not really sure exactly what the rules are, but it's whatever. I kind of just went, this is a problem. It's okay. I'm gonna move on. It's a Disney film. I'm never gonna get everything right unless you're, basically Alice, or move on. Those get pretty high marks.
So from there, Anna loses her memory of Elsa having cool witch ice powers.
Why she gotta be a witch?
Witches are cool.
Uh-huh.
It's a compliment. So she got those powers, and then Elsa's like, well, I'm shutting you out of my life. That's cool. And then you get this scene where you see them growing up, and you get your second song, Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Not a great song.
I don't necessarily think the song in and of itself is that grand or wonderful, but how it is used is. That's the thing. Like, the montage of it is really nice. It conveys a lot to me. Shows that Anna is trying pretty hard all those years. Nothing.
Many years. Do you know how old they are when the real bulk of time comes?
What does real bulk of time mean?
When the movie really starts, right? Established where we're at for the story age-wise.
They're 17 and 18.
No. This is based off of Wikipedia as I was looking up all the information.
Mm-hmm.
But Elsa's turning 21 on her coronation, and Anna turns 18, or is 18. I'm like, they're a bit older than I thought they were.
Yeah, they're older than I thought they would be. I figured 18 was just the age.
And I guess Kristoff is also 21, so...
Kristoff is a 21-year-old, huh?
So these are like adults. I'm like, okay.
Wow. How much of an adult are you at 21?
You can drink.
You have the legal right to make poor and irresponsible decisions with alcohol.
That's what being an adult is all about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was unaware. I missed that. In some states, though, you can also use marijuana, I'd like to point out. In our state, that's real.
West Coast.
Best Coast. Anyway, besides the fact the East Coast sucks, garbage place. That's not really true, but it's not the West Coast, so we get them doing their montage, and then it's time for the coronation. And we're doing our thing, right? Like, Elsa's over there dreading it. I really like the First Time in Forever song here.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that it shows the polar opposites here. It's nice, right? They're singing at the same time. I can understand what both of them are saying. Elsa's just hating it, which is fair. It made a lot of sense for a child who, basically had to, cut off her closest relationship because she didn't know any other way to do things and she couldn't control her powers. And
I was a little confused about who's been running the country. Because there's been child kings and queens in the past, haven't there?
Elsa's running the country. I don't know.
I was just like, they died several years before this coronation. Their parents. 3 years. Somebody's got to have been making decisions. I mean, maybe it's been Elsa, and this is just her formal coronation. Quite possible. I just wasn't quite sure. I feel like we're really trying to get to the heart of the movie pretty quick, and so we kind of miss a few details.
I think it's a children's movie, right? That detail is not important to a child. No child sat there and watched that movie and was like, oh, who's running the country?
What's the political nature of this land, and what are the relations with other countries? I'm over here a little curious, but... that's fair.
I think that's the difference, right? We are adults. We are not the target audience. But I still have a decent time with this film, which is why I would call it a good Disney film. But yeah, the political nature and how that happens, and how do you have, the Prince of the Southern Isles? What does that even mean? Who cares? Nobody cares about the Southern Isles.
Yeah, is that a cool place? I don't know.
It doesn't seem like there's any significance put onto these things. There's, the Duke of Westernton or Weaseltown, whatever they mockingly call it, who, apparently has really good trade relations with them.
Yeah.
About what? I don't know. What are they trading? Ice?
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of details. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. It would just be nice.
It would be nice, but you don't get that. But then you get Anna meeting Hans after that.
You do get a little bump in. It reminds me a little bit of the anime cliche where you're running with the bread in your mouth and you bump into somebody as you're going around a corner and you both fall and make a bit of a clown of yourself. That's what it reminded me of.
Okay. Well, that's not what I thought of. That is probably one of the least interesting sections of the entire film.
The meeting?
Yeah. It's just so overdone.
It's very overdone.
It doesn't feel like I should feel awkward with them. It just feels like these are two awkward people that I am suffering through your screen time with.
I will say, from honest perspective, I get the idea through her songs and her attitude that she's lived a very cloistered life. Locked up, maybe not really locked up, but within the castle walls, probably doesn't know the people too well. Clearly she has some desire of love, as a lot of teenagers do. So I can understand being a little nervous, being like, oh, this guy's pretty hot. You know, we've all been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand. Like, you get the horse with the boat, like, keeping it up in this weird scenario. Seems a little unbelievable. Hans is acting all really nervous, but that seems a little less believable. It's just a weird setup. Now, when you learn that this guy is planning for a weird meet, or he's planning, you know, some treachery and wants to use her as a tool to get into power, it makes more sense. So in context of the greater film, I think it works well. It's just an awkward moment, though.
It's not a good awkward moment, though. Like, it's supposed to be an awkward moment, but it's not good.
It's not good.
I just like, okay, great. You're a good actor as someone who's just playing the bit part that you want it to be to entrance this woman. Yeah, which wouldn't be that hard because she's a shut-in, not by her own choice. She's like suffering for affection. Great. But it is believable, right? It seems believable that that's how she would be.
I think Anna comes off as a very believable character. Maybe she has more energy than I'd expect out of a human being, but that's that Disney magic.
The Disney magic. Okay. But then they're at the ball, right?
Well, you get a little bit of a coronation.
Oh, yeah, you get the coronation that almost goes wrong.
Correct. I like how you can see her struggling, and then she very quickly puts down her... What are those? So yeah, it's like
a crown and a scepter, basically.
And a weird ball thing. I don't really know what that thing is. But I kind of liked the direction of that. You can see she's very nervous with her hands shaking. I think that's all directed pretty well. And her actions being quick work really well for the scene. I kind of like that.
It works. I forgot all about it. All about it. I was like, okay, great.
But then we come to the ball.
Yeah, and then they have their awkward sister meetup, basically, where she's like, hey. And she's just like, whoa, you talk to me.
First time in like 12 years.
First time in forever.
Been a little while. Do you even remember who I am? Be a lot of questions I'd be asking.
Yeah, it does seem like that she hasn't seen Elsa in that long. And I'm like, I don't know. It seems like maybe you'd have to see her at some point.
You'd think.
But I'm not really positive yet about their weird family dynamics at this point. It would have been nice, but it's not what I got. Because then they're, doing their weird thing. You get the Duke of Weaselton out there.
Doing his cock-a-doodle-doo dance.
Yeah, that's not funny either.
That's what I'm saying. He was just he was a kid character in a movie that wanted to be seen as a little bit more than a kid movie.
I mean, I think he's there because he's funny to children. I bet you children think that's funny.
Yeah, with his hair flopping off and everything.
Well, his hair, his weird dancing, he's just kind of a weird guy, and I feel like children kind of like that, right? It's funny.
Possibly. I don't really know kids well enough to say.
I think children would think that's funny. Then she meets Hans again.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, what are you doing here?
And then she's, falling head over heels. And I don't really love their song sequence, but I like that the song is about love being an open door because we've really honed in on she's been shut in and she's really excited that the doors are being opened and this whole deal.
The thematic.
Yeah, I like the thematic nature of the song. But the song in and of itself it's a song in the film. It exists.
It's not a great song. I agree. It works thematically. I don't know that I thought about it that much.
Oh, I did.
There's a couple weird shots in the film with the song that are a little strange with I don't know what they're called, but they're on a little belt that comes ferrying out of a wall with miniatures, the clock.
They're in the clock tower thing. I don't know what that's called.
No idea. That's kind of a weird shot because the other songs in the film had been accompanied by like scenes that were real, and I felt like this song had non-real elements in it. It was a fictional vision they were seeing, and that was a little weird, a little jarring.
Oh, I wasn't bothered. I just kind of sat there, knew where that song was going, and was hoping it was over.
And then they're engaged. Woo!
Yeah, but I do respect that they are like, calling it crazy. Like, they understand this is crazy.
That is definitely crazy.
I mean, it happens. Some people successfully, get married on like, the first date. And they're married for like 50 years. Few and far between.
That's a rare case. Man, that's
gonna be me.
Shooting in the dark and hoping you hit.
The next woman I go on a date with, that's what I'm gonna do.
Propose.
Yep.
God.
It's gonna be good stuff.
Oh, well, next time I'm at the factory, I'll tell the assembly workers to get on that.
Oh, that was a low blow. That was mean. I'm so nice to you. And all you do is make robot comments and mean comments to me.
Like how you accuse me of being a liar all the time?
I've never done that.
That's true.
Never in my life. Anyway, Elsa is like, nope, not happening. Not having your weird engagement nonsense. You need to calm down and stop being a moron, girl.
I actually really like that scene where they go and talk to her. Like, can we get we know this is a little crazy, but could we maybe get your blessing for this marriage with this guy I just met? And Elsa, she's just like, what? No, that's stupid. And I respect that. That's what you say. You say, no, this guy needs to leave because he's very weird. I like that scene. It felt very believable.
I mean, the movie grounds itself in a lot of realism, right? It grounds itself in a lot of realistic things that make sense. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a pretty normal reaction. Like, I mean, that's a part of what sells it to me, right? It's a part of what I like about it. It doesn't feel as fantastical Disney nonsense. Like, oh, Prince Charming showed up. Right. That's wonderful. Glad you're, gonna live happily ever after with Prince Charming.
In a movie.
Yeah, like that's kind of what Disney does a lot.
Did.
I mean, maybe they do better things now. I haven't seen a lot of more recent Disney films. But it's also something that a lot of, romantic things do. Like, you meet this guy in this weird, outrageous scenario, and it ends up working, right? So it was nice that it felt more grounded in reality. But that is too far for Elsa. And she says, no, you all die by being impaled by icicles.
She didn't take the news very well. In royal court, isn't it more normal for, the reigning monarch in a case like that to be married first anyway?
It might be. I mean, I know there are things where, the oldest daughter or whatever has to get married first. But that's not what was happening. Well, maybe that's what she was so upset by. She hadn't found the love of her life. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand Elsa's pain.
Relatable.
Nobody will find me the love of my life. And it's tragic. But she, ends up running away and that whole sequence, and there's nothing really special about it to me.
Well, she reveals her powers to everybody.
Accidentally, yeah.
Everybody knows she's a witch now.
She's a monster.
A monster who's got cool powers. People seem surprised.
As they should.
Naturally. It would be a little surprising. And she's out. She said, peace. I'm out of here, chumps. And Anna's like, well, I better run after her because this is kind of surprising. I might understand why she's been so distant now. And to be fair, you seem to be on the money. Pretty easy guess, though. But she doesn't really successfully catch up. And then she's like, well, I'm going to go chase after my sister because she's a good person. Hans, you are definitely in charge of the kingdom for now. That's a wise decision.
Yeah, but she's an idiot. She's clearly an idiot.
She said that, I'm like, yep. That's a good idea.
It's not good. It doesn't end well, clearly. My confusion with this chase scene is why she doesn't run after her as she runs across the lake. Or whatever.
She can't stabilize on the ice very well.
You don't get no horse or something to run across that?
They didn't have a horse at hand.
It looks like she runs all the way around and not across the ice or something.
Have you tried running on ice?
Yeah, I have ran on ice.
And biking across it, too.
I have biked across ice and fallen multiple times.
Yeah.
It's pretty painful, if you're wondering. I know you thought, man, that can't be that painful. It is.
No, it hurts pretty bad.
Anyway, it just seems like something... They don't have sleds, they don't have anything, they don't have ice skates. Clearly they got something somewhere.
Yeah, they use a horse later.
It just seems weird that she doesn't just follow the same path as Elsa on the horse.
Oh, like take the horse back to the lake?
Yeah. Like, that's pretty solid ice at this point. Like, it just seems like it's a weird plot point that she somehow is lost when it's like, she gave you a pretty clear path.
She's not good with directions.
I mean, she could be an idiot and not have good directional skills. That's sad for her. I have great directional skills.
Very true.
So, I would have been able to follow just fine. But that whole sequence where she's like, wandering through. Like, I feel bad for her because it's the snow and it's frozen cold and sad and the snow is awful. Snow's the worst thing in existence, basically. Humanity sinned and now we have snow. This is the direct result.
She slides into the river.
Yeah, that was bad.
That would be cold.
I do appreciate that it's frozen by the time she gets to the door, though.
Oh, her dress?
Yeah.
Indeed.
It was a very nice touch. I was like, you thought about it. And I appreciate that.
That would be a very uncomfortable thing to be in.
Now, here comes the next real problem of this film. I don't know where her money comes from, right? She presumably has a lot of money as the Princess of Arendelle.
Yeah, she's royalty.
But do you just carry a coin purse around everywhere with you? I didn't see a coin purse. What is the currency?
Arendelle's. That's what I'd call my currency.
You would, huh? I mean, doesn't he say he's like no, he just says like 40, right? 40. And he's like, last week it was 10.
That's quite the price hike.
It is. But it was just like, okay, I guess. Maybe there was a currency and I just don't remember it.
I'm not sure. The accent was throwing me off a little bit.
The weird, like, heavily, was that Swedish or something?
European of some sort.
Mm-hmm. At least I can understand it. That's the benefit. But that's a whole weird deal.
It's a weird section because nobody has a hut in the middle of the forest for no good reason.
These guys sell his sunbomb.
His summer wear. Are they coming to the forest to get their swimsuit to go back to town? I don't really understand.
Maybe he's next to a lake that you can't see anymore. I don't know.
It could be a frozen lake. I'm not sure.
It's apparently a normal outpost because Kristoff stops by regularly.
Yeah, he's a regular. No longer, it would seem.
He sucks it up now because, he got kicked out.
He's a little mad. He's a little frustrated that he has to pay so much.
But then he's just staying over there on, like, this other weird cabin thing that seems to be on the same property. The whole scene, continuity-wise, makes not a lot of sense for me.
It's very fair.
And it's kind of just like, okay, I don't know what's happening. You gotta meet your, love interest guy over here, and...
I like when he comes in just covered in snow. That's a good shot.
It's interesting that he is, that covered, but...
Well, you would be too. You'd be more covered.
I'd be dead. I would be dead. At 135 pounds, I have no insulation and I'm cold all the time anyway. If it suddenly starts snowing in summer, I don't know that I need to be around for that anymore. I just give up. I just go out and lay in the snow till I'm dead.
Just take me.
Yeah, no. The snow is that awful. Just bad. Anyway, they meet up. They have their, reindeer song scene.
Reindeers are better than people.
Which is, it sets his character up, but, it's nothing better than that to me.
I feel like his character's already been established. He's eaten the same carrot that he just fed his reindeer in town back at the beginning. And he's got, drool and slobber all over it. And he's just like, yeah, I'll take a bite. That does remind me a little bit of you, though.
Wow, that hurts. All the cheap shots today. All the cheap shots. Why you gotta be so mean?
I'm sorry.
Maybe you need to take some lessons from Anna, who buys his stuff for him.
Yeah, she's rich. She can afford it.
You don't know how rich she is.
She just has to walk back to town and get some money.
Yeah, that's not that far away. She only made it on horseback most of the way.
It's fine. She can ride an IOU. People seem to know who she is. She's like, yeah, I'm the queen's sister, so I'm a pretty big deal. And that guy's like, oh, yeah, you're good for your money. Great.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who would take that. But anyway, besides the continuity of that scene, they meet up. They're doing their thing. They leave.
It's a nice little scene. I like how she's, acting all, confident and assured of herself and giving demands and, you're gonna follow my word. But, she hits him in the face. She's just like, oh, sorry. And then she's like, oh, no, right now. It's a cute little scene.
I didn't think it was cute in the slightest.
Oh, I liked it.
The best thing is after that, because then they're, talking, and he's giving her all the crap over her love of her life game.
He's calling her out a little bit wow, see, you do sound a little crazy.
I just like, what is his last name? Of the Southern Isle.
Wow, what a name.
The whole scene plays out pretty funny.
It's a good scene.
They get saved from the wolves.
Why are there wolves all of a sudden?
I don't like the look of these wolves either.
Neither did I.
I thought they were a little too cartoony and everything else looked a little too realistic.
I agree. I noticed that myself. But this is the only moment you get with them, so I guess.
They're there for, basically forcing the plot forward.
Jumpstart.
And then they make it, they make their jump.
And then lose the sled. We didn't have it very long.
I like that she's like, I'll replace your sled. She's a very giving, generous person.
She's got money.
Apparently she's allowed access to the treasury. I don't know why.
She makes good financial decisions.
Maybe, but I'm doubtful at this point.
And then you get Kristoff being like, well, I don't really want to follow her. I feel like this is not going to go well. But Sven, his trusty reindeer, talks to him.
Yeah, definitely does.
And says, nah, you should go because he'll die. And he's like, yeah, that's good advice.
Only because he won't get another sled.
That is the most important part. He did just lose his sled and everything of value to him.
But they make their way to Olaf.
Oh, yeah. Good old Olaf. Let me tell you.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what to expect from this character because he's the mascot face of this film.
Yeah, he's the toy seller.
Yeah, gotta have that. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a character that really makes or breaks it for me. And at first, I was like, oh, I'm not feeling this guy. But he won me around.
He in and of himself is not very great, in my opinion. But the lines he is given are funny sometimes. Like, there's a couple times where I actually laugh because Olaf is funny.
Yeah.
And so that's what sells it. Him as a character, I was like, you're kind of stupid and not very enjoyable until you're funny.
His whole, I want to see summer. That's probably my least favorite song. I don't really care for that song too much.
The only thing that song does for me is make me go, Kristoff, you're a good guy. You gotta tell the truth. It's important. Even if you gotta burst someone's bubble.
Yeah, he's like, someone should tell him that that's not a good idea for him. I respect that.
He doesn't follow through because, Anna has intimidated him with her womanliness.
Maybe. I think his care only goes so far. It's not a person, but it's not a reindeer, Mr. Olaf.
That's sad. But then he leads him up to Elsa.
It doesn't feel like they traveled that far.
Not really. The rock climbing thing, that's pretty funny, though.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, because she's just trying so hard, and everything she's doing is wrong. He's like, I wouldn't. No, okay. It's like, whew, hair's getting thin up here. And then the trust exercise thing, she's like, catch! Boom, just vaults herself off of it. Probably got up higher pushing off than she did climbing.
She didn't make it very high.
But that's pretty funny. Like, that whole little section there is kind of just funny.
It's a funny scene. I think their chemistry together, those two characters, work pretty well. Generally, all the scenes they're together in are pretty good.
But then Anna's got to go confront her sister. And that is not go very well.
I guess we didn't talk about the breakout song of the film. That would have already happened.
That's fair. It would have already happened. We could talk about Let It Go. I think Let It Go works really well in context. Because we've built up that she has had to basically forsake everything she likes, and she had to hold everything in and be really constrained and be the perfect child and do all these things, and it fell to her after her parents died to be the responsible one, and she already feels this tremendous responsibility.
You're a queen.
Well, she's got to feel this tremendous responsibility to, keep her powers hidden from everybody and just make it work. And then, she gets to release it all, right? She has the cathartic effect of just letting it go.
Says, fuck it.
Basically, if that song was an adult song, that's what it would be called.
The trouble with this song is that it was definitely 100,000% overplayed in grocery stores. Or whatever store you visited back in 2013, 2014, 2015. This thing was in stores for years. And it was frustrating to hear it, every day. It felt like if you were in a store, you were hearing this dang song. And so I feel like that put a lot of burrs in people's britches over time. And this film, still to this day, gets a fair bit of hate online.
Really?
Yeah, you see a lot of people who like to diss this movie. And I really think it has to do with this song just being overdone. But that being said, in film, it does work well. It's well sung. The visuals are nice.
Visuals are great.
And there's some cool displays of power, forming your own staircase and walking up that, creating this ice citadel. Very cool. I actually prefer her garb as a queen than her, like, white dress. If I'm being honest, I think, like, the royal garb looked a little nicer.
Like the regal look.
Yeah, but that's not really that important. But, she gets to let her hair down and all that. I do like the line. The cold never bothered me anyway. I feel like there's a lot of layers to that line. It's easy to be like, yeah, she's got snow powers. Yes, she's not cold. But I also feel like she's going out to be secluded. And loneliness, right, could be attributed to being kind of cold and aloof. And she's grown up having to have that kind of personality forced upon her where she has to be kind of cold and all that. And now she gets to embrace it. So there's that extra layer of the cold never bothered me anyway. Like she's trying to convince herself. I feel like that extra layer really helps a lot. I think that's a good line.
The line sells itself visually to me. I don't necessarily think that the line sells itself when you're just listening to the song.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do actually listen to this song by itself every now and then.
Okay.
Because I enjoy it. I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But the visual where she's got like the shoulders movement and does the whole flare with the whole line. Her facial expression. It really sells it to me.
It works.
It's well animated and well sung and is well timed. Like all of it really goes together right there.
It's definitely well done. It's definitely the song that they were banking on making this movie. They're like, this moment. And they capitalized on it. To be fair, they were right.
That's the deal. Like, you can hate on it because, you've heard it too many times. And I agree. I did not watch this film when it came out because I didn't want to hear any of these songs ever again.
It's what turned me off for a long time.
But I watched it like 2 or 3 years after it came out. And I was like, oh, that's pretty decent. Like, it really works.
Mm-hmm.
But you successfully got like basically the entire country to like know your song without ever having to see your movie.
It probably was more than just our country.
Well, other countries don't
English-speaking countries.
Other countries don't matter. America. Maybe Merca. Merca. Anyway, they're now at, Ice Crown Citadel over here. Just for you.
That's a good reference.
Just for you.
ICC.
And they, go up there. She's trying to have her conversation, and I feel like that's dramatic and it works. It's nothing more than like what you thought it was going to be, though.
Yeah, it goes pretty much exactly as you expect it to go.
She's not having it.
Wow, she's being angsty. Whoa.
And then, the ice troll kicks them out, basically.
I like that she can create this, like, golem creature. Pretty cool.
I just like that things are animated, right? Like, she creates Olaf when she's in like a really joyful, happy deal, letting it go, and he's like a really joyful, happy thing. But she's really angry and upset, and she creates the golem, and it's angry and upset. And she's like, That's basically how he sounds too.
So if she made something while she's like really confused, get a really bizarre...
You get a ditzy, stupid thing.
That's the character they should have modeled you after.
Oh, more low blows. Man. This is mean. I've had to lament the not having the love of my life. And I'm having to, deal with you taking all the cheapest shots in the world over here. Don't have any creativity over here today. You just got cheap shotness. Jacked up. I wish I could create golems and things to attack you.
That's fair.
But it'd be a sun monster. It'd just follow you everywhere, and it'd be like 100 degrees no matter what.
It'd be like at the end with Olaf getting his own little
Yeah, but
cloud.
you get your own little star.
A little sun.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's what you get.
That would be a curse.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That'd be a blight upon my existence.
That's what I'm doing, because you're so mean to me all the time. Anyway, you get them falling off the cliff nonsense, and
I like the snow anchor. Does that work?
In theory, it should work, right?
It makes sense. In theory,
if the snow is compacted enough, it should work. But it doesn't really work when he's like, there's all this fresh powder down there and we'll be fine. Because the fresh powder probably would not support it. It's probably got to be pretty frozen through. But I don't know that. I don't go up to the mountain. I don't play this game. I live here specifically, in part, because there is no real amounts of snow almost ever.
Only occasionally. I think we should try this.
I'm sending you down.
That's fine. As long as there's some fresh snow for me to fall on.
Mm-hmm. But in theory, yes, if the weight of the snow would hold the weight going down, then yeah, it's no different than like tying it off to a rock, right?
It makes sense. I was just curious if that's like a real technique.
It might be. I don't know.
It'd be pretty cool.
I mean, fresh snow like that, though, is primarily water. So I think it'd have to be compacted down or frozen over for that to work. But I don't know that. It's my 2 cents that nobody asked for. But there it is.
Can we get your third cent?
No.
Oh.
We got to move on to getting to the trolls. Because they get to the trolls.
Well, I guess we didn't say that she was shot in the heart.
I mean, it goes bad. She gets frozen over. Her heart's frozen over. Now she needs true love's embrace. Or an act of true love, I guess, is technically how they phrase it.
I was really tempted to break out in a song there.
Were you?
Yeah.
What song?
I don't know if it's really called Shot in the Heart. But you're too late.
Oh.
You know it?
Oh, yeah, I'm aware now. We definitely need to keep moving to, she has an affliction with her heart. Because I have to phrase this differently now. So I don't get your stupid singing. Anyway, so now they're on their way to the trolls to meet his family.
Well, the love gurus.
Love experts.
Yeah.
To help Anna, because she's dying of frozen coldness. And I felt that. I was like, man.
Relate.
That's my life. That's my life for like 6 months of the year.
Man.
Dying. If I could get a cool white streak in my hair, though, that'd be cool.
That'd be neat.
Just right down in the center.
People might not mistake you for being 13.
That's fair. Not even gonna call that out. Because that's pretty true. People probably do mistake me for a 13-year-old some days.
No one thinks that.
Anyway, we then finally arrive at the trolls. And I like how that's done. Because you as the viewer know that he's not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that situation is just like, yeah, you are crazy, buddy. Like, and Olaf is over there like, I will talk to them and distract them.
Run.
And you know, because I love you, Anna. You have to run. Like
he's sacrificing his life for her.
Yeah, it's like they're just like under attack and like they're sieging like the castle wall or something. And he's like, I will save you. Okay.
It works because they hold it for so long. Where you're like, we know that they're gonna reveal themselves. But they hold the rock formation for quite a while. And he's just going through and be like, oh wow, you lost some weight. You're looking really good.
Yeah, he does look insane.
On his face, it's just like, is this a joke? Takes him a little while, but this he's like, yeah, think I'm gonna go.
It's funny. It really, it works for itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to the good old, deal that she can't be saved, basically. But you get the good song before that.
Fixer Upper.
Fixer Upper. That song is admittedly wrong on some really drastic levels, but it is a really entertaining song. Like, I'm not gonna hate on the song in and of itself, but the ideas that we are foisting forth to impressionable children, not great.
It's pretty catchy.
The best line in that song, though, is the line, I don't see no ring on her finger.
They're doing their little conference like, she's got no ring. We can make this happen.
Well, they're just like trying to convince themselves, and then this like child, Rock comes up and he's like, I don't see no ring on that finger. Like, that's just magically acceptable. Like, you can move in and take this guy's place. It's fine. It's totally fine, Yeah,
maybe not the best message, but it's funny.
I mean, the message is sadly just like, you can go in and change people, basically, right? Which is they're flirting the line. Like, they don't necessarily go there, but I feel like to a child, that's basically how it's going to come about.
Now, when I was taking down some notes for this,
mm-hmm.
I clicked on this song in particular, because I was like, what song is this? The name it didn't work, whatever. Okay. I was like, what is this? And apparently there was some comment by some person somewhere about how there's a bestiality joke in this song, about with Kristoff liking Sven and like how he's more attached to like a reindeer or something. I didn't catch this.
I don't think it's a bestiality joke. I think it's mocking him being lonely, right? And his only company is a reindeer. I don't think the comment was supposed to be a sexual innuendo like he's having sex with his reindeer.
No, but that's pretty funny.
Like, I don't know that that's funny. That's disturbing and weird.
It'd be really funny if it was a little more obvious that was what it is in a kid's movie. You'd be like, wow, that's a direction.
That'd be way too far. Like, even generally, like, if you want to make a sexual joke, like at work or something, right? Like, with the guys. Bestiality is still, like, not everybody's gonna think that's funny, right? It's still pretty...
It's pretty taboo.
Pretty far over there on the taboo section.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be funny in a children's movie. Like, if it was an adult film, and you wanted to, make a joke about it, if the Rocks were, like, giving him crap, like, you need to find a woman or otherwise you're going to end up with your reindeer, type comment. Okay. I'd take that as an adult comment, and it could be funny.
I actually think this movie, you're using the term adult film. I'm pretty sure you're not meaning pornographic.
That is fair. I didn't think about that. That's a good catch.
Just to be clear. But as an adult film, as you mean it, I actually think you could do a pretty good, cool film with this. You could make some of the parts a little bit darker. You could have some interesting interplay with characters. I actually think it'd work pretty well.
It's already a pretty serious film, and I think that's what sells it and helps it be enjoyable for most people. Right? It's enjoyable for children. It's enjoyable as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
It works. But then they got to race back once they realize that they can't be fixed up together.
Before we go back, though, this is where I thought, okay, we have Kristoff witnessing Anna in the past getting her memory wiped.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly he remembers this. Mm-hmm. And so he knows who this person is.
Does he?
You would think.
He sees her from a distance.
Okay, but he sees the king and the queen. Well, she might not be. He's the king.
But does he know that?
The trolls say it.
The trolls say it. That doesn't mean he heard it and got there in time.
He clearly is hearing this. He's definitely heard this and is like, okay, wow. And it's like, okay, that's the king and his $2. And now you're meeting with Anna and you've seen Elsa and all these people who are the daughters there. He has to know this because that would be like a big event. This is where he meets the trolls. This is like an impressible moment on a kid's mind. Absolutely he knows who this is. It just feels a little weird that he never's like, oh, yeah, I've at least seen you in the past and this happened. I just, if he witnessed this whole event, I just felt like we should have done a little bit more interplay here of all the moments of the film with it. But we don't. No, I didn't need them to create, like, drama out of it. At first, I thought this was going to be a moment where he'd say something, and she'd be like, what, you didn't tell me? Wow, now I'm mad at you, and runs away. I almost thought we were going to get a scene like that, and that would have not been good. So, kudos to them for not doing that, but you still could have got something.
I mean, it's fair that he probably should remember, but I just kind of don't care. I really don't. I was like, whatever, moving on. It was a while ago. You're an idiot. You lived your life alone. Maybe you think you imagine that. Except you don't, because you bring her to the trolls specifically because you've seen them do it before. I don't know. That line of him remembering that the trolls can heal this was good enough for me. To not really care. But, I mean, fairly enough, yeah, he probably should remember this and be able to put two and two together.
I just felt since we spent so much time with him as a kid, and clearly we were setting him up knowing this, that we would get a little bit more of a payoff than just one line.
No, I didn't have a problem with it, but,
All right.
You had all the problems in the world, and now we're racing down the mountain on a reindeer.
Good thing he's fast.
He does seem, pretty fast. And then they get there, and then things go really poorly.
It doesn't go well.
I do not understand the Elsa prison scene, basically. Like, if she's got ice powers, can she not just make something so brittle and then just shatter it?
Well, that's the impression that I got of how she got out.
Yeah, but why didn't she do that before? She's already freaking out and things are going bad. Like, it seems like that she's been in the prison cell quite a while before she actually gets out.
Well, she's a bit reluctant. And she's in the state of like, well, I just froze over to the country, or at least the city-state. That's not good. And the lake's all frozen. Not a good situation. I need to learn some control. things don't seem to be going well. She doesn't know what happened to her sister. I can understand her being a little hesitant to like immediately just break out. But after Hans comes in and sees her and says whatever and leaves, you see her chains start to freeze over.
Like, why is she like pulling on them and not just shattering them against a wall?
Do they reach the wall?
She's closer to the wall. When she gets up, she's on the bed.
But
and she walks all the way over there.
She walks to the window, which is where they stop her.
Yeah, at the window. The wall is on, or the bed is on the wall.
I don't know. I'd have to see this.
I'm telling you, it makes perfect sense that she could hit it on the wall and shatter it if it's cold enough.
I don't know.
It just
she
seemed,
got out.
It seemed really weird. Yeah, how she got out seemed weird too.
It didn't really seem that important. Whatever.
No, it was weird. I didn't like it. It was not doing it for me.
Okay. I wasn't bothered by it.
Alright, but then we go to, Anna getting screwed over, and I just feel like she should have died faster.
Like, she should have died. I'm like, Nisha, they're not doing that in this film. But, faster, sure.
Like, her frozen state should have happened a lot faster, it felt like. Like, time was of the essence, and things are going really bad, and then he puts all the fire out, and things are not good. And then she's just sitting there shivering, dying.
Well, you know how in video games, sometimes when there's like a time trial, and you're doing a race or gotta get to a point fast, and there'll be little things interspersed where you can hit them, and it will delay the timer a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When they were running down the mountain on Finn, they hit every single one of those, so she got a little bit extra time.
Is that how it works? Okay, well, that's some pretty large nonsense. You're wrong. You're an idiot. I gotta fire back a little bit because you've been so mean to me.
I'll take it.
But yeah, I was definitely bothered that she felt like she should have been frozen over already. But then things go really bad.
Yeah.
Elsa is not having anybody's business anymore. Everybody's going down on this ship with her.
Yeah, and Hans is like, well, I'm just using you. Now I'm gonna let you die. How sad for you. Now I'm going to get power because I'm 13th in line, which admittedly has a lot of brothers.
Here's the deal, though. You're still royalty. You can't just go, stake out your little, claim over here and just live quietly in, a pretty decent fashion. That's not good enough for you? You're that greedy? I don't know, buddy.
Maybe this is, a really messed up family where they're, trying to assassinate each other and he's like, I gotta get away.
Maybe. I don't know. It didn't really sell it to me. That his motivation was good. His motivation works in reason, but it just seems kind of stupid.
He could have used a little bit more setup. But that's what I'm saying. The villains weren't particularly strong. I don't really think they're the main focus of this movie, but it would have been nice to have a little bit of a stronger outing.
I mean, the focus of the movie is your sisterly bond.
Yeah.
And that's what good old Anna does. She saves her from Hans.
What loyalty?
It gets frozen. That act of true love shines through, and everything is so good. I do like that it wasn't like her having to get kissed by somebody, right, to make that work.
It works in Sleeping Beauty.
Which was done in the 40s.
Well, sure, but even time irrelevant, right? If the film is set up to be something like that, it can still work. But this film, that would not work well in this film.
I agree. They knew what they needed to do, and they delivered. And it works.
Now, I think they play up that's what's going to happen a little long with Kristoff coming back, and he's racing to get there, and we're still racing, and Finn somehow survives falling in the water. I don't believe this, but he gets out onto his little geyser.
Geyser?
Yeah.
It's a chunk of ice. Do you know what a geyser is?
Yeah, it's what shoots up. That's the only explanation for how he got on this ice, okay? I'm telling you, there's no way a reindeer gets up onto ice while being in the water like that, where he's just like, yeah, I'll just jump up on this. No way.
So it's a geyser now.
It could only be a geyser.
Your ability to use the English language is failing you at the moment. But anyway, besides the fact that you don't know how to use words in the English language, I agree. The drama of that is not great. It goes on and on and on, and you're like, okay. And then she doesn't kiss him, she runs off, she gets turned into a frozen statue, and then basically immediately is not a frozen statue. And then everything is all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, she gets to sucker punch this person.
That's pretty mean.
I don't feel too bad for him.
She gotta face it like a real woman. She can't be over there sucker punching people.
Why not?
Because it's a sucker punch.
Yeah, who cares? Guy deserved it. Deserved worse.
Did he deserve worse? He gets sent back to his brothers.
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Reward him?
It sounds like they were mean to him, right?
Yeah.
All the time.
Maybe
so,
he's the weakest link. He's getting assassinated first.
I don't know why he'd be assassinated first. I don't know why you'd start at the bottom.
Just so you don't have to worry about him.
Okay. But I basically have not much else to say about, like, their whole deal at the end. Like, things end like you think they're gonna end.
Oh, look. Happily ever after.
New sled.
We got the little romance thing going between these two.
They're having sex now.
Maybe.
No more reindeer sex.
He's graduated. Moving on. And so you get Elsa. She's accepted by the people. She's having a ice skating rink at the castle. That's nice.
You gotta think about how convenient that would be, though.
It's not bad.
Be pretty great.
It's a good workout.
I guess if you can stay up. It's painful otherwise.
You know, falling on the ice doesn't feel great. But it ends there. Happily ever after. Until the second movie. I don't know what happens in the second movie. Things. But Nietzsche, how much movie did this movie make at the box office?
Well, I think I can read your notes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you that is far, far from the figure I thought it was.
What did you think?
I would say it did, pretty decent. Like, it probably, had done, a couple $100 million or something. That's what I probably would have guessed.
Yeah. Well, almost $1.3 billion later. At the time, it was the highest grossing animated film ever.
What has stopped that?
The Lion King remake from 2019.
That tops that? That's like CGI, though.
Yeah, I don't like that we're including that, but if it's animation or real life, and that's the binary, I suppose that's what it is.
I don't know. I don't like that. No, Frozen is still the best grossing film for animation. That's what I've decided for it. Good on you, Frozen.
That's a success. It's a lot of money.
That is a ridiculous amount of money to make, but people loved it, right? People probably still love it.
Yeah, at the grocery store, you can find, I saw at the mac and cheese, like Kraft, there is still frozen mac and cheese. Like the pasta pieces are shaped like Olaf or whatever. And I'm like, wow, isn't that nice?
Do you need a little Olaf friend to keep you company with your star that's about to come appear over your head?
Only if he has an accompanying snow cloud?
No. He just is cotton and he's heavy and you gotta lug him around everywhere.
I don't need that.
Once he, gets drenched in your sweat, he's gonna start to not be a very pleasant experience anymore. Anyway, we're so far off at this point. You got any other things you need to throw in here, or any other great questions you have?
What do you think of the main characters, being the sisters, Kristoff, Olaf? You think they're all good characters?
I think all of it sells well. The voice acting sells it, the direction of it sells it, the animation really sells it. They're decent, right? None of them are exceptional. None of them are like grand characters. But nothing about this film is grand. Nothing about it is making it, impressive to me. Like, they did their job right, and they clearly had, great success with that. I actually laugh and, think it's pretty funny sometimes. I'm semi-engaged most of the time. So in my world, it's better than, average. But, like, for the sake of, this film more objectively, they did their job right. Check the box.
This is where I think they're all good characters.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, as I was saying, if the movie was remade for an older audience, I really think these characters could be really good. Especially like Elsa. I think like that's a pretty cool character. She's got kind of a messed up past. She has this unexplained power that's not going well. And you have to make hard decisions. You become queen. That's not an easy role. And you still have to face all these problems. You have a sister that you have a complicated relationship with. There's a lot of good material there. And I understand that we can't go really deep with it all, being what it is. And so I think it's good for what we get. It being a Disney film, I think it's good. because I think the foundation is good. But I do wish we could go a little bit further with it.
Yeah, I agree. If you made this for an adult audience, it would be allowed to do more and could work really well. But that's fine. When we eventually get a remake of this, as Disney is remaking everything,
Oh, I wonder if they'll do a live action. Like they did with, like, Sleeping Beauty and whatnot.
Probably, I feel like at some point.
Hmm.
It's a grand part of their franchise and property. Like, you gotta do something with it.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
But you gotta give it enough time, I feel like.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You get at least a few more years. I mean, it is almost 10 years old. We're getting there.
It's almost as old as I am.
Yeah, they're 13. But otherwise, no, I like the characters. I think they're good. Just not the antagonists. But as they're not the heart of this film, I'll move on.
They're set pieces. They work.
I think the songs were surprisingly good for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we covered all these songs.
So, soundtrack worked pretty well. I do think the movie is front-loaded with the songs. I wish we had gotten a little bit more maybe towards the end.
Yeah, but they reuse the music at the end.
Yeah.
Which works, right? Because it's recognizable. I like that. It basically is simple enough music that you're calling back those lines in appropriate moment. And I like that as a tactic. I think that it's kind of a risky tactic, but it does work really well if you pull it off right. And they pulled it off right.
I suppose I could have used another couple songs.
Where?
At the end.
Like where at the end? Like what are they singing about?
Betrayal.
Hans
could have had like
you
a song.
need a villain song because you're hung up on like Hellfire still.
Well, Hellfire's great.
What?
If he had a song that good, whew, he could have been a great villain.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't.
Uh-huh. Ridiculous. No, I didn't need more songs. I'm fine with that. I feel like this film does good enough, right? You did your job right.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it enjoyable. More than I can say for a lot of people. More than I said for Lord of the Rings, so.
Sadly, you are a crazy person.
Mm-hmm. But Lord of the Rings is in the past. We gotta move forward. You have any other grand, wonderful things you need to say?
Why is love the key to everything in Disney?
Because people are starved for love. And if you can sell them a romantic notion that love solves problems and we can perpetuate, nonsense about how love is gonna, make the world better in this, sad idea that we've created for it, and people will continue to strive for it and pedal for it and it'll work. Sex sells, love sells. It's a very similar type idea here.
So, outrageous headlines on articles also get clicks. Like,
yeah, and as people still do it, right? Results are results.
I suppose. I'd like to see something else.
Like what?
What's a really dark emotion? Like jealousy or anger towards a person due to jealousy, and how they'll, conquer that and then use it.
That's really complex.
Yeah, it is. But
that would take too much effort. It's a children's film.
Just saying, we could entertain children in more ways than just a couple answers.
And children are simpleton and stupid. Just like you.
Children are stupid.
You any other grand questions you need to ask here?
No.
No?
No.
You're done?
That's everything.
The end of your nonsense?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I don't know that I believe that. It's been a good pleasure discussing this film. It's now your turn to have at us. Tell us what you think. Suggestions. You like, comment, subscribe, follow. All of the things that you need to do to help support this and keep this running. So you can hear more pleasurable discussions about your favorite things.
You could. A word to the wise. It is maybe not the best time of year for some snow, but I believe in all of you. You can make some snowmen. You could make a little snowman family or snow woman.
Maybe holding signs.
A little sign.
Supporting us.
Wouldn't that be nice? You could have the URL link in the sign. That'd be kind of funny.
Get a QRT code thing. With the snow.
Yeah, you could with the snow. It's going to take some real work, but I have faith.
I'm glad you got some faith. Let's hear your great score on this.
I'm going to give this a frozen solid 8 out of 10.
I'm giving this a 7 out of 10.
Have at us.